Hey, beautiful human. Welcome to episode 16 of From Chaos to Cozy, where we're on an amazing journey gaining clarity around our chaos and how to see our cozy more clearly. In the last episode, I touched on an amazing meditational practice that can help balance the energy of each moment. And in this episode, we're going to visit more deeply the importance of developing a close relationship with our spiritual posse and our inner selves, one of the deepest relationships that we can experience as a human. A huge support of our journey from chaos to cozy is to get in touch with our posse who are on the other side, back home in cozy land. We have such a large mass of beings of unconditional love and light on the other side that if you could imagine standing in the middle of them, it would be like standing in the middle of a giant sports stadium with thousands of people surrounding you on the main floor and then thousands more filling the giant stadium, even drifting off in the distance where you can't even see where the crowd ends. And we do have our guardian angel right next to us, spirit guides, angels that have joined us for this lifetime, loved ones who've gone to the other side during this lifetime, and ancestors that are related to this human character we've chosen in our lifetime. We don't always choose the same family tree because we like to experience many different ancestries. So it's going to be a bunch of different types of ancestors. And then there are all the beings that reveal themselves as all sorts of characters like dragons and fairies and unicorns and leprechauns, oh my, and so many more. Technically, we are all one when we connect with our true selves at our highest vibrational expression. But for now, for the human experience, we can picture this enormous level of unconditional love and support as multitudes and multitudes of individuals. One of the reasons we come here is to experience individuality and separateness at an extreme level. And at one point in my life, I was under the impression that our soul leaves the other side, inhabits a human body, and then we return to the other side when our human body stops functioning. But since then, I was shown that it's more like we dip the very tip of our pinky of our higher expansive self into the physical world to experience this human world, while the rest of the powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit self, that is still on the other side, experiencing many other things that our human side's veiled from, because it really could not comprehend all that information at the same time in the lower vibrational form that we are as a human. I think our human brain would probably explode if it tried to download that much information. So our higher self is still functioning and doing many things on the other side, including being our connection to the other beings that are there. They are our conduit. They are the way in which we communicate with our spiritual posse. Our human side can develop a relationship with our higher self like it does with anyone else. Talking to them and learning to shut up and listen too, right? So how can we develop these relationships? There's like 4 different things we'll talk about in this episode about taking time, like dedicating time, talking with, which means speaking and listening, sitting and being still. Thirdly, digging into who they are with interest and intention. And lastly, reaching out with our heart every day, learning their voice. So these will be a good place to start. And so let's get into those, a little more detail of each so we can see how we can apply them to our lives. All right, so firstly, taking time, dedicating time. And as with anything in our lives, whatever we focus on grows. Whatever we focus on the most grows the most. Makes sense, right? So when we learn a new language, the more we use it, the more fluent we become with it, right? You know, if you learned like a language in high school or college or wherever, or even elementary school, but if we don't use it, the connection to it drifts away. So of course, it works the same way with our relationships, but with our relationships with spirit beings and our higher self, they never sleep. They are always around us. And as we will see in a moment, they are always speaking to us in a variety of ways. And when we take one step toward them, they take 100 steps towards us, 100. And their steps are big honkin' steps, especially in comparison to ours. And they don't care how we connect with them, because all it takes is an intention to connect with them, for the mic to be live and for that conduit to be opened. There are many different ways to connect with them, as there are human characters on this planet, because that connection we have is as unique as snowflakes in a blizzard. Some will journal to connect, others pray, others meditate. Others will paint, sculpt, go for a walk, take a nap, and astral travel maybe, or work out with their earbuds in, pull tarot or oracle cards for themselves. You know, none of these are wrong, and none of these are the right way. Everyone is perfect for the person who chooses how to connect that way. And we can all change it up anytime we want to. Like I said, they don't judge how you connect. They just enjoy being able to connect with you at the level of being a human, because they are already still interacting with your higher self. So this is a unique, fun connection. Almost like what the Spirit showed me is like, it's like interacting with a Muppet. You know, they already know the ones pulling the strings on the other side, but how different it is pretending that this Muppet character is real and how it interprets life and this adventure. They never sleep. They can be in many places at the same time, so they are always by our side, and they're ready to communicate when we are. We only need to dedicate and take the time to reach out to them. And they don't mess with our free will or our power of choice while we're in human form. Before we come down here, we give them a honey-do list, and like what we want to experience down here. And so they're always working on that. But we can also, of our own free will and power of choice, ask them for answers and guidance and signs or whatever, and they will respond, but only if we ask. They really do honor that free will and will not meddle in our lives unless we ask them to. They do let us know that they're there behind us in case we get caught up in the world and we're so distracted that we forget we have them as our unconditionally loving and non-judgmental resource and backup. So like someone clearing their throat, to get our attention, they will bring synchronicities into our outside world, repeating numbers, brochures out of nowhere, advertisements, even mental images, energy surges, and emotional flow. They basically say, hey, just letting you know we're here if you need us. Wink, wink, right? When we first open our conversation with the higher realms, it can be a bit staticky in the beginning. So we'll talk about how to bring clarity to the connection in a few as well. We've touched a little on how we talk to them, writing, speech, action, and even just in our brains with thought. Yes, don't freak out. They know every thought and every emotion we have too. They are always with us, always, but without judgment or opinion. They are beings of unconditional love and acceptance, so they celebrate every step of our adventures down here. On the other side, there isn't right or wrong. There are just different choices that bring different experiences. And we can trust that they will never abandon or leave us for any reason. But how do they speak to us? Basically, they'll speak to us in any way that they can where we'll listen. They'll bring messages through the outside physical world, like license plates and bumper stickers, songs on the radio, YouTube recommended videos, social media posts. You can find pennies, you'll see butterflies, dragonflies, birds, all sorts of animals, rogue junk mails or spam, someone handing you something, you overhearing a conversation, smelling a familiar scent, tasting something that triggers a memory. So many ways in the outside world through our 5 senses. And spirit beings can also touch our memories in our brain if we allow it, where they can activate a memory of something to help bring answers, and especially if it is someone who you knew in this lifetime and has gone to the other side already. They will touch a memory to let you know that they're with you. So if you have a memory pop out of nowhere and you weren't even thinking about them, that's them saying hello. So tell them hello back. All of this is from a place of unconditional love, so they're not meddling in your life by letting you know that they're there. But if you ask them questions and ask them things of your own free will, then they will answer you as well. In addition to memories, spirit can also drop non-memory thoughts into your head if you've asked them of your own free will. And let's say once where one of my exes wouldn't give me the combination for the lock on their briefcase, and I really felt like I was being prompted to know what was in there. So I sat down in the middle of the floor and asked my spirit guides to tell me what the combination was, because I knew they were always around, and so they would know. And when I asked, as soon as I asked, boom, 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 3 numbers popped into my head. And when I tried them and the briefcase lock opened up, I about pooped my own pants. I was like, whoa, what is happening there? It was quite the experience. And spirit can also send waves of spiritual energy and emotional energy to get our attention, though it's been my experience in the beginning, they use the first 2 things I mentioned because it can take time for our human brain to decipher and translate these energy flows and get what message that they're bringing. But over time, as it happens more and more, you do develop your own knowledge of what different energies feel like and mean for you. It's like moving to a foreign country without knowing the language of that country, and you slowly learn what the word for cup is, and then for foods, and then the bathroom or whatever, right? We always learn those few things, but we learn this communication in the language with spirit where we learn what emotional, and other kind of energetic flows mean. So in the beginning, learning to listen to their messages can feel a bit foggy, confusing, unclear. And this is because as humans, we're used to hearing the loud noise of fear of our human chaotic mind in the human chaotic world. To be able to hear the whispers of unconditional love from above, we can dial down the fear noise, lowering the vibrational volume by raising our love vibration. One way we can do that is to focus on getting out of our mind, which is full of beliefs of fear, and get into our higher hearts. We can question our fears, understand what the source of us feeling unsafe and out of control is. What are these triggers that keep us circling in fear and out of our rational, unhearing minds. What can we do to calm the mind? You, of course, are the best person to ask that for you, as you know what's worked and what has not worked for you. What has brought you calmness and peace in the past that is not harmful to your body. Do that, right? But some common things that help calm the beast within humans are getting out into nature, away from the chaos, a relaxing bath, a professional or unprofessional therapy session. An unprofessional therapy session's one in which you talk to a trusted, unlicensed professional friend, right? Someone who will hear you out and you can trust, right? A walk or a physical activity of some sort works for some. Painting or a creative expression of some sort. Of course, meditation, breathing exercises and breathing modalities, sitting on the porch, having a nice cup of coffee or tea. You know, there are a variety of things humans can do to step out of fight or flight mode, so explore what works for you. And how can we turn up love vibration to the frequency of the whispers of love for those of the higher realm? You know, whatever we focus on energetically is what grows. So I try to approach my shadow work and life purpose kind of journey with an 80-20 guideline. I try to spend 80% of my time focusing on higher vibrational things and 20% on the shadow work, you know, those fears and triggers that keep tugging on my shirt saying, hey, 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 I want your attention. So if I spend too much time only focusing on the dark, the lower vibration, then I grow the dark and the lower vibration. So as I do things to turn down the fear noise, I also do things to raise the volume of unconditional love in my life, the higher vibrational things. So laughter, humor, watching YouTube videos that are funny, comedians, comedies, uplifting videos that share how people are loving and kind to one another. Read books that bring ahas and those that give me more information about the powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being that I am, which is made of unconditional love. I also live a life dedicated to sharing the messages of love from above several hours a week, 25 plus hours providing live reading sessions on YouTube and more time engaged in recording pick-a cards and monthlies and other videos, and also drafting and recording podcast episodes like this. And I'm grateful, so grateful to be able to do what I do, because I have a host that lets me live in her basement for free. And I have got all of you lovely people who donate during my live sessions, my monthly YouTube channel members, and I offer a variety of different services too that people purchase. So all of that, of course, is listed in the description box of the video. And then all these podcasts, that I do. Because of all these individuals, because of all of you, I'm able to connect with spirit every day for large portions of my day, which allows me to channel and feel the unconditional love of the higher realms. And I know not everyone feels they can invest that much time in their lives to connecting with spirit. I get it. So you do what you feel you can. You start off by doing something regularly every day that allows you the space to quiet yourself and connect with the higher beings of unconditional love and light. Maybe it's pulling a card for yourself, or watching a reading or spirit-based like video on YouTube, journaling, writing letters to spirit, meditation, prayer, and the normal things, right? Whatever tools help you open to the messages from above. One of those things is digging into who your spirit guides and your spiritual posse are. Our human side's very curious about the unseen world and the unknown. So when we have this quest, it can really engage our human and give us an extra spark of inquisitiveness in seeking out spirit. For the longest time, I would just reach out to the creator or spirit or this large mass of beings of unconditional love and light. And I knew I had specific individuals and expressions of the creator, which is what we all are. We're a creative expression of the creator, the mother and father of all things, whatever you feel your higher power is. And, I knew that they were all these that were directing and moving in my life, but I just didn't ever think to ask who they were. But within this last year, I was attending a gathering led by a beautiful channeler, and she mentioned that, asking who our guides are can help us gain a clearer connection to the spirit world in order to hear messages more clearly. I'm like, well, interesting. So when I got home, I immediately opened up a journal and I asked them, introduce yourselves to me, as I wanted to get to know them. And I also apologized. I'm like, sorry that I didn't ask sooner, just didn't, come across my human brain. And they, of course, were okay with it all. They know my higher self, they know that my higher self very well on the other side, but they were excited for this oblivious human side of me to get to know them. So I had 4 spirit guides introduce themselves, and they are the 4 primary ones, representing also 4 elements that rule over the 4 different parts of my life, like the 4 suits of the minor arcana of tarot do. So it was very interesting. So the air element was a wind being who introduced themselves as Zephyr. And they help me with my thoughts and beliefs and the stories I tell myself. And they love to show up as a Chinese dragon holding a great glowing pearl, which brings capital T truths from the higher realms to my awareness. That's what Chinese dragons, if you look at their, the beliefs of the East, they are like angels in a way. They're ethereal beings who are in pursuit of higher knowledge and wisdom. That's like their quest. So I'm like, how perfect that they would come in to represent that, for me. And then the fire element, they're actually a sub-collective of the Syrian Starseed Collective, which they come from a planet that used to physically exist around Sirius B, because there's a Sirius A, Sirius B that's like a binary star system. So there was the planets out there until it was absorbed. All the planets were absorbed into their star sun when it went red giant and it consumed all the planets that were encircling it. But they come to me as a phoenix, and their planet was a planet they shared of combustible, fiery type energy. So they were not like a humanoid race, since the planet couldn't support or hold regular human type life forms. So they were more of an elemental race, which was a highly spiritual type of energy. So they helped me with my fire energy, my spiritual energy, my manifestation energy. And it's interesting because I've been feeling a tug to possibly start channeling a monthly message from them, from this sub-collective. So stay tuned. I'm excited for this. And then the third was the water element, and they asked me to call them Fae, F-A-E, which is short for flow and ebb, like ebb and flow, but they have opposite flow and ebb. And they actually were a marine biologist from Atlantis. And they love to come in the form of as many different sea creatures as they can. And then they primarily, of course, help me understand my own emotional waters and the depths of that. And then the last one was an earth element, of course, which they've been a shaman type character in many, many, many lifetimes. They come to me in various different land animals, but especially the wolf, or in a wolf skin, which it was funny. They made sure to let me know that the wolf skin was made from a wolf who was dying even of like old age, and they offered their skin to the shaman. So they were like, I didn't kill him. they offered it to me. And I'm like, okay, good. And they asked me to call them Will, W-I-L, which is short for walks in love. And they aid me in how I walk in the world and how my human character moves and experiences the physical world. And it's interesting because I'm also being nudged by them to write about their experiences and lives. So I'm very excited to dive into getting to know them and their experiences even more deeply as they share their stories with me and then eventually everyone else. And I feel like, they wanted me to share all of this with you to help spark your excitement to get to know your own spirit guides and their stories as well. So how fun. But we don't have to stop there. We also have a guardian angel, other angels, loved ones who have already gone to the other side, ancestors of many different family trees, and so much more. Which leads me to the final thought for this episode, which is reaching out to them every day. Why wouldn't we want to? Are we too busy? Are we too scared? Do we feel like we're not worthy to chat with them? What reason? What's holding us back? Because when we make it a daily practice of connecting to them some way, somehow, all the voices that echo in our head, which are quite a bit in this life, right? They're sorted out until we recognize one that's always right, always loving, always supportive and kind. And we can develop one of the deepest relationships that we can have in this lifetime as a human with the spirit world. It's the deepest because they know us in the spirit world, like I mentioned, as our higher self, but they also know every thought, our every emotion, our every desire, and our every action in the physical world. And with practice, we can learn to quiet ourselves, become still, lower the fear noise, connect to that higher frequency, and hear the messages of love from above much more clearly, and have a strong connection whenever we want to experience it. In the next episode, we'll take a look at some of the other sources of our beingness in more detail, including our higher self and our shadow. But until next time, remember every second of every moment of our lives that we are eternally and unconditionally loved by the Mother and the Father of all things, our Creator, and that massive group of beings of unconditional love and light. And of course, I love you too. So hang in there, take care of you. We'll see you soon.